Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
You and I have been talking about artificial intelligence because it's playing an increasing role in our lives, and it's taking over rather quickly. Americans now in a new poll are evenly divided on whether or not artificial intelligence is going to make things better for us or worse for us. So who's right about this? Let's talk to an artificial intelligence expert. Matt Rosen is the CEO and founder of Aleta. That's a technology consulting firm that's helping automate companies through artificial intelligence. And Matt is on my Davison Family Dentistry Newsmaker line this morning. Matt, welcome to WHO Radio. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
So what do you think, Matt, is fact or fiction in all of this? I mean, we can go all the way and say it's ultimately going to destroy the world, or maybe just put people out of a job, or it's going to make our jobs easier. What are you thinking here?
So with every technology revolution, from the Industrial Revolution to the removal of the horse and buggy with the car to the internet, there have been lots of technological revolutions, and they're coming faster and faster. But with each of those, there's positives and negatives. I tend to be an optimist, so I think there's more good that's going to come from AI than bad. I think it's going to help us do a lot of things faster and more effectively. But there are some risks to it that we have to manage. I don't see a Skynet moment where it takes over the world or takes us all out. But I do think it's a technology that we need to embrace, understand how it works, because it's not going anywhere. So it's going to be incumbent upon us as the human race to really understand how to use it for good and regulate it against negative uses.
Matt Rosen on WHO Radio. Matt, that's a good point. It's not going anywhere. So let's break it down. What's the good about it? How will it allow us to do our jobs better?
Well, if you think about the three basic categories, artificial intelligence kind of thinks and does things like a human. So it can, automate tasks that are very mundane and boring. It can integrate lots of information faster than a person can. You can search through hundreds of articles and come up with a summary of it. But a human still has to review it. And then it can actually create content, from art to literature. But at the same time, you get something out of an AI engine, you need a human to review it for context. It doesn't truly understand the world. It just understands all the information that we pumped into it. And what I'm speaking about specifically is the Gen AI models. And these are things like ChatGPT or Gemini or that are out there publicly available today that anyone can go out and access and play with and really start to understand. So those are some at the high level what it can do. But then if you look industry by industry, it's already being used in healthcare to create new drugs, detect diseases in trials. In a retail standpoint, you might talk to a chatbot versus a person as you're trying to return something. A great example that I think it's going to be able to do in the next few years is thinking about when you move, how many times do you have to change your address? Imagine if you could just talk to a bot and say, hey, go change my address everywhere, and you didn't have to do that. Moving would be a heck of a lot less painful.
It definitely would. Matt Rosen on WHO Radio. So, Matt, all right, we won't get to the Skynet scenario. It won't kill us all. But what is the downside? What are you concerned about?
Yeah, the things I'm concerned about is kids getting access to it too early and not learning to learn. So I worry about that. I think there needs to be some restrictions when ChatGPT is introduced to our children. I do worry about, it creating things that are not real. So I feel like there needs to be some governance around it. If you look at the EU, they've already put in an act around AI where companies that aren't adhering to their standards, understanding how the models are being trained, not adhering when it spits out things that it shouldn't, companies are, eligible for fines. So the EU's, actually setting the tone for this a little bit out there. And we really need to do the same. The technology is changing quickly, and we need to protect the people that are using it like we do protect from any industry. You can't just drill oil anywhere you want to. So we're going to have to put some safeguards around AI. We're going to have some smart people working on that, and they already are, a mix of, entrepreneurs, people in Silicon Valley, as well as folks in Washington, to make sure we regulate how and when it's used, and when it's used for bad, there'd be some penalty around it.
Matt Rosen's the CEO and founder of Aleta, which is helping automate companies through the use of artificial intelligence. Matt, great insight this morning. Thanks very much for joining me.